Okay. Good evening, all. Welcome. So I've just triggered the regarding option. So before we go to the next topic, and then I do screen sharing. I just would like to hear from any one of you. So if you get a chance to do some exercises, or if you stuck anything, feel free to ask any questions right away. If not, I'll ask some questions. So then let me start in asking few questions there. Well, I'll repeat this question again, but I think we have already discussed this thing. So anyone can try this one. So what is flap detection in monitoring domain? Flap detection. So even I'll give you a clue. CPU memory fluctuations. Anyone want to try? Yogesh, you want to?
No, I'm not practicing.
Okay, so I'll explain. So, for example, let's say there is a warning threshold for 60% of CPU memory. So, take an example, and then we have a threshold configured 60%. What it means is that in case if the utilization of a particular node of CPU crosses 60% and stay there for, let's say, 5 seconds or 10 seconds or 20 seconds, then trigger the alert. So that's the definition how that we define in the default template. So now what will happen is, let's say that in a scenario where it is actually fluctuating, but it is not staying there on top of 60% for so and so period, 5 to 10 seconds or 15 seconds. So in that case, we really don't get alert actually. So we don't receive alert. But if you look at the problem there, is a problem. The node fluctuation is very high, correct? So we as a owner of that environment or of the server, we would like to know about that. So what Nagios is designed to adjust this thing is that it will check last 20 or 24 iterative cycles. If there is so many that graph, like if it is fluctuating very heavily, it will throw an alert saying that flap detected in CPU utilization. So then we need to log into the so and so node and see what is happening. Yeah? So that is little background about flap detection. So anyway, go through the videos and you have some nice 2 days break. So just spend some time interesting monitoring. It's a very big domain again, but to start with, I strongly advise to start with Nagios, because most of the monitoring tools, whatever we are seeing in the industry, they're all based on these principles, which was actually designed and developed by Nagios. Even some engines like Isinga is one more monitoring engine or tool. It is actually designed using Nagios engine. Yeah, so there is no rights, right? No, it's like an open source. So anyone can download that program, and then you can develop your own monitoring tool. That's all open source concepts actually. So they have improvised the software Isinga, and then they released that saying that this is my monitoring tool called Isinga. Some people call it as Ichinga also, when ICINGA. Okay. So we also talked about event handlers yesterday. I hope you try to configure that event handlers. So what is event handlers? In case if there is an alert and you've written a script to handle that particular situation. So for example, a process is down. So my script automatically should start the process. So it's not that we got an alert, and then you logged into the server and you started that process. So you automate that process. So event handlers helps that, and also it will help the load on our engineers. I mean, we can automate the process based on the history, based on the learnings of the environment. Okay, so that's all about monitoring domain. So let's move on, and then we'll get into the next tool. This is a little big topic in DevOps, so it will take some few sessions. But anyway, so try to be patient. And this is core principles. Entire DevOps revolves around this thing. So today, the entire business and all this stuff is all using this configuration management. Now, very high level, what do you mean by configuration management? I'll take a use case. Let's say that now I'm working for a company called Google, a search engine, and I would like to set up a application in a region. So once the systems are ready, systems can be a physical machine or a virtual machine or a cloud instance. That is immaterial for us. Linux or Windows, we are not bothered about it. Once the machines are ready, what is the first thing we do? We will have our Unix or Windows system administration team to install the operating system. Once the OS is ready, then we will install all the prerequisites required to run that particular Google application. Definitely, there will be some the design architecture will be different, and then we need some more than some XYZ number of machines to host the Google, probably a web layer, app layer, database engine, etc., etc., etc. So many layers will be there, right? So that is the prerequisites on all these machines, which is required to install that application, is unique to a particular mission system. Means in web, the prerequisites is different. In database server, prerequisites are different. In application server, prerequisites are different. So can we say that this is all about configuration of that so and so system? Yeah, OS installation is fine. That is okay, but on top of that, I'm talking about. So CM, the configuration management, what it will do, it will make sure that the current design and build state of that entire system is really deployed automatically, and at a regular interval, it will verify whether it is known to be good or known to be trusted based on the expectations from the application point of view. Now, why do we do that? We can do that manually also, no? Yeah, we can. Take a scenario that so SBA bank domain. So one layer, we'll take one layer, web server layer. Now, how many web servers will be there? 10, 20 web servers to meet the traffic and you meet the user base. So, for example, one of the machine is crashed due to hardware issue. Now, you identified that because you set up the monitoring and then you got an alert. You spoke to the data center engineer and the vendor. They supplied the device. They restored the machine. OS is installed, etc. Now, to build that particular server, you need some documentation. So, same. Assume that that you don't have the documentation in that scenario, and it was built way long ago, legacy machine. Somebody was there who is right now not with the company. Now you really don't know how to build a server first of all. So the time taking to build that machine is actually giving huge business impact, because the machine is not available, and the entire load is on the remaining cluster of the servers. So this, like, probably you will do some R&D and then you will do firefighting with the server, and then in a day or 2 days, you probably will entirely set up the machine and then hand over to the business and put it back into the rotation. So this is not acceptable. Yes, sir, 1 day or 2 days like too much, right? So imagine in the same situation that you have this configuration kind of management tool available. So that tool automatically will install the required components inside the machine. Within the 2 minutes, the machine is up and running. Yeah. So this is one advantage. I'm just giving you one advantage. As we progress, we'll discuss what are the other advantages we have. Now in the market, so what are the tools we have to use this configuration management? One is Chef, very popular configuration management tool, and that is today's topic. And we also have Ansible, Puppet is also there, Salt Stack is there. So many configuration management tools are there. To start with Puppet, very high level. So the design is something like this is how it looks like. So you will be having a master server where the code infrastructure as a code, IaaS we call it as, will be stored. What did it mean by that? In my company, if I have around 200 servers, so in each server, what are the components required to be installed and up and running and version, etc. So everything will be written in a language which is understood by Puppet and will be stored in the master. So a slave or agent will be running, and then periodically it will verify, the entire domain. So in case if it finds any deviation from the expectations, it will fix that issue without any intervention. So it's a client server based architecture, the Puppet. That is one thing. So the features of this Puppet is that, yeah, it's a very popular configuration management tool. Came into the market in 2006, around that time. So it was developed in Ruby. So open source again. It is from Puppet Labs, the company vendor name, Puppet Enterprises and all this stuff. So some companies right now we're using is like, these are them as Cisco, JP Morgan, Teradata, a lot of other companies are using this Puppet. A very classic configuration management tool, which is there in the market for almost how many years? 16, yeah, close to 15 to 16 years. So as I said, you will be having one catalog. So the master, when the slave requested with the help of this facts, what is facts is that it will contain the node information, like which operating system it is, what is current status to Puppet master. And then based on that, it will prepare a catalog using the facts and then so that it can compile and specify how the node should be configured. So this is how it will be being. And then once it is met the expectations, yeah, so a report will be generated back to the Puppet indicating that everything is completed, and you can see that everything on your dashboard. So now let's talk about the another configuration management tool, Chef. So here the difference between this Puppet and Chef is that it is actually working on a client server based architecture, the Puppet. Now, whereas Chef actually is having one framework. So we'll discuss in detail, but otherwise the similarity is that both are written and developed in using Ruby. So both uses the same language. So when you learn Chef, learning Puppet will be easy, and vice versa. So the domain specific language is very common across this platform. Again, this is also an open source tool. And then in 2009, it came into the market. So people generally says that Chef is more close to the cloud also, because it is came into the market exactly when that particular cloud is also started evolving in that. So they closely watched that evaluation of the cloud, and then they started supporting the cloud as well. So that is the other advantage it is having compared with Puppet, because when Puppet came into the market, cloud was not there. So that one disadvantage, because they did not immediately picked up the pulse of the market, that what is the this particular chef can chef as chef was can do, and then that is the reason actually they were they lost the race in the market, Puppet. But even though later they realized that, and then they started introducing and supporting the cloud support as well, but it was little late. I think it took like 2-3 years there, so that when they can evolve and start support the cloud platform. So by the time Chef captured the market. So these are some of the companies. The list is very big. Just actually few companies here. So the framework, it will be like this thing. So you'll be having a server, you'll be having a workstation. As a DevOps engineer, this is your testing platform, and this is business nodes, chef node. When I say business node, yeah, I'm talking about all your business servers, web app, database, all servers. So yeah, we'll talk about all these parameter and attributes because this is our topic. And both this chef and Puppet actually works on a pull mechanism. What do you mean by pull is an agent will be running in the node, and that agent will do a handshake with the server. And once authentication authorization happens, it will download that code which is written and uploaded there, and it will execute at the local machine. So this is pull mechanism. It is agent's responsibility to run at a regular interval, negotiate with the server, download the so and so code, execute that locally. So the problem here it is monitoring this agent is also an overhead on the environment. What if the agent goes down? And so many things surfaced, right? So exactly that was addressed in the Ansible. So it is agentless. That means you no need to install any agent in the client's business nodes. It works on the push mechanism, not on the pull mechanism. So it's like a broadcasting. You'll be having a central server, and then it will be broadcasting. So this is really saves our time of setting up the agent for the first time. When you started adapting, even though it is master slave architecture only, completely agentless. Also, it is written both the other Puppet and Chef are written in Ruby, but Ansible was written in developed in Python. So the language which is used is YAML here anyway. But the advantage of developing in Python is that first thing is platform independent. Also, most of the servers, it could be Linux or anything, or Ubuntu or any Red Hat, any flavor, you generally will be noticing that they will be pre-bundled with Python. So you don't need to install any Python prerequisites to install this Ansible. So the overhead on the server which is required to install Ansible comparatively less. It will eat less resources, less memory. So that is also one more advantage. Yeah, Ansible is now very popular in the market, followed by Chef. So that's it. The top three configuration management. So some details about Ansible. Anyway, we'll be discussing in detail when Ansible topic comes in our sessions. So we will start with Chef now today. So what do you mean by automation? So whatever we just now discussed, it's all about automation. But the book definition is that the process of automating the entire the human repetitive task with the very simple or with almost like with simple little or no human involvement. So it could be a sysadmin task, or it could be a software installation package, or operation control, regulation, admin missions, etc. Earlier, we don't have any control on that. When we do everything manually, right? But when we do this kind of automations, it actually we have a control over that. It will act like inventory boss. So also it will reduce the complexity or to follow all the sequential steps to set up an application, which is boring. Any engineer will not like, right? I was actually taking one interview long back. So he's having around 10 years of experience. So I said, like, so can you just explain me what your day-to-day activities in a so and so business? He was saying that no, X, Y, Z, and then deployments. So I asked, like, now how do you do all your deployments? So he explained me the process manually, taking the artifacts and doing the deployment, etc. I mean, there's no value add to the business, and there is no value add for himself to also to automate the process, right? So even after 10 years also, he's still doing the same thing. So that is exactly addressed using this kind of configuration management tools. So it actually keep motivates the team also, so that they can automate the process to get some bandwidth to use that time to some bring up some value add to the business. Also, we are all human beings. So if you try to do the same repetitive tasks, so they're all prone for errors. So when you do automation, it will reduce that particular stuff. So yeah, so this is little background about automation. So Chef is a configuration management tool through which everything is now this part configuration management is automated. Little history. It's again open source. 2000, even though it is released in 2008, but the first edition launched in Jan 2009. So few employees from Amazon, Microsoft, and all these things, they actually created this, meeting the business need and all this stuff. So written in Ruby, and the UI, the user interface is developed in Erlang language. Erlang is one more real-time programming language. So I think even RabbitMQ, that is also developed in the Erlang language only. So there are three major components in Chef. We have already seen this picture in our previous slides, but again, I'll show you in the coming slides. One is server, that we know, where the entire this, what do you call, the code which is supposed to be there. There is a technical name, but I'm not actually introducing that technical name. So the code which contains the instructions to be run on a node sequentially might be having 1,000 servers, or 50,000 servers, 70,000 servers, 20,000 servers. I was actually delivering a training to Oracle sessions. I was told that one division, they were having around 28,000 servers. So they're all using Chef. Otherwise, just it's how much, I think some 15 members team. Imagine, man, it is impossible for them to manage all those 28,000 if they don't have this, this kind of Chef kind of tool. So coming back to this, yeah, the server will store the entire code centrally there. Also, you'll be having a workstation. That workstation can be your local, what do you call, desktop or a laptop, or it could be anything. You as a DevOps engineer, tomorrow once you upskill yourself into Chef, right, you'll be developing that code, testing and everything will be done at the workstation. And then you also will be having business notes. Yeah, that you don't have any control, right? Why are you doing all learning all and implementing this thing? To manage those nodes. So together, these three major components, we call it as Chef framework collectively. So as I said, server stores data configuration, workstation. You will be having a local Chef repository in the workstation. A tool will be used called knife. If you observe carefully, all these words actually taken from your real-time kitchen. Yeah, so chef and knife, correct? Yeah, these are all. So you'll be seeing all these words. Why they use this? Because yeah, it will be easy for us to understand tomorrow, because this can be a new topic to you, right? That is the reason. Now, this code I was talking about, right? This code which we will write is, we call it as cookbook. Now, what is exactly cookbook? It is basically collection of some recipes. So this is the smallest unit in your cookbook with a, basically we call it as a file with extension .rb, which contains the commands and executions or action to be taken when this cookbook was used. So the node communicates with the Chef server and gets this configuration, which is there in the server in the form of cookbook, which probably contains some installation and instructions to some software, etc. We call it as configuration management. So this is how the Chef works. So this is your workstation. You as a DevOps engineer will be developing those cookbooks here, uploading them to the Chef server. There are different flavors which we'll discuss in coming slides in Chef server. And then the clients are, we call it as nodes, can be anything. It can be a physical node, can be a cloud instance, it can be a hypervisor, virtual machine, or Linux or Windows. So it clearly says that this Chef is not only for cloud, not only for physical machines, not only for virtual machines or Linux or Windows, platform independent configuration management tool. So only thing is you have to install Chef client in all these machines. So some people ask me, oh, I think it's a huge effort, right? When you want to install agent on all your machines. Yeah, it's a one-time task. So because this is all works on pull mechanism. Yeah, you don't have choice, but you have to install. How do you automate that process? Yeah, there are some ways. Chef also provides, you can remotely install agent also. So this process of installing agent and registering that node with Chef server, we call it as bootstrapping. So you will be listening these words, bootstrapping. So these are some of the features of Chef. They have different flavors. I was just now saying that, right? That one is the free edition, open source one. This one, the open source Chef. And the other one is Chef is actually company itself. They're providing one hosted Chef. So this is for people who want to do some learning and all these things. For them, this is their suggestion. They're giving free of cost 5 nodes they can add, register with that. And otherwise, in case at a big company, big client, so no, we don't want to use any cloud machine. We don't want to use any open source. We have a lot of money, don't worry, but I want a dedicated machine for my environment. So they also have an enterprise edition. Earlier it is private Chef server, but they renamed as enterprise Chef server. So don't worry about the scalability. It is highly scalable and secure. And you can also set up what you call fault tolerance and etc. Everything here. So every flavor has some specific solutions. So for example, open source, yeah, it is actually having some limited features. And hosted Chef server, which is managed by the company, which you can use it through API. With some subscription fee, you can start using it. Also for testing purpose, I told you, up to 5 nodes, you can subscribe to the server. Otherwise, on-prem. On-prem, yeah, it's all license plans. So based on your size of the organization or your client, right, you will take the enterprise edition. So with this, like, I would like to stop for a couple of minutes, take some questions from you. Any questions?
Raghu, like for Chef, right? We have this agent installation as a dependency, and you mentioned that has been resolved in Ansible.
In the Ansible, you don't need to have an agent installed on all your machines. So we call it as agentless.
Yeah. And so is there a particular reason that we are going with Chef instead of Ansible?
So yeah, that's a good question. Now, I'll give you one scenario. I think one of my client, when I was giving delivery trainings, he was sharing this experience with me. It's a banking sector. I don't know to take the name of the company. So there was a credit card server is available. So they were using Ansible. So they hired a new young guy. So he's good in Ansible. So he returned and they were all in meeting, and suddenly he pushed these changes to the credit card production server. So it's not even pushed, right? As soon as it is uploaded, it is mechanism is that it is pushed. I mean, it will be pushed to the machine. Ansible will push it. So he wrongly pushed. Actually, he's supposed to push it to the non-prod environment. And because of that, the server was down for 1 hour. The business impact was 60,000 USD just because of that change. So immediately, of course, no one can catch him because he's a still what do you call young engineer. So they designed an architect team. They did a PRB, RCA, root cause analysis, came up with a suggestion that they want to go back to the chef. Why? Because chef is an agent based. So agent will be there in the server. So in that situation, if that guy try to push it also, it will not be applied to the server. Agent has to pull the configuration. Again, you have a check there. You have authentication, authorization is there. And is it for production server or not? So many checks are there, stops are there. It would have been not impacted. So don't think that Ansible is super duper, it is Superman. No.
Okay.
So it will take, business will decide that whether, they want to go with a pull or push.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still, Ansible is on peak, right? So why is it like, can't we consider it as security breach of Ansible? But why it's in peak?
Correct. Yeah. So now if you look at the environment, most of today's case is like an SMB environment, small, medium based environment. We don't have like, huge environment, unlike in these things. But if, if you look at, the chef side, the large sector. So I was actually working with some of the, like, 5-6 years ago. So they are having around 4 businesses, okay, oil and gas, power, and all these things. So each environment is having around 20,000 servers. So they went with Chef. Why? Because the cybersecurity team suggested to use Chef only because of the framework it is having. So we have a server, we have a workstation, we have authentication, organization is available. So many things are there, which was not there in Ansible. Of course, later Ansible Tower came. Red Hat introduced that thing. I'm talking about 4 or 5 years back. Yeah. So comparatively with your Ansible, Chef is having that in a huge infra framework. So wherein it can meet the guidelines of the cybersecurity team. Even though today, if you ask me, if I'm the CEO of a company, I have 2 options: whether I go with a pull or push. So if I choose push, I don't have any alternative. I'll go with Ansible. So 50% of the market is using Ansible. Now, if I go with the pull, I have like 2 options. One is Chef and Puppet. So 25%. So that is one advantage Ansible is having, and then also agentless. Also, the language which we use in Ansible is YAML based. So it's a plain simple English comparatively with your Ruby, which is probably not very familiar with most of our the automation engineer. So these are the few reasons Ansible is right now top in the market. But I was telling you that Ansible is also having the other side of the coin.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, let me clear this.
Raghu, can you show the previous slide once, the bootstrapping part?
Okay. Yeah.
the process of actually registering agent with the server is what bootstrapping, right?
Yeah, installing agent on your machine and registering that node with the Chef server organization. We call it bootstrapping. So instead of agent installation is now automated with knife. Some people also write some scripts also, but that's Chef having a knife tool which can automate that process.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Any questions? Any more? Yeah. Okay. So now why Chef was is also, I mean, still, of course, it is in second in the race. So popular is that it actually having a facility to integrate with a lot of third-party tools, such as Test Kitchen, Vagrant, Container, of course, nowadays Docker you are using, and Food Critic. So, which actually really help all the Chef developers to write their scripts and do some POC before they actually deploying that in the environment. So it is really useful for all the learners to develop some Chef scripting here, which is having a very strong community. And here the other very exciting thing is that actually the sequence of order matters in the Chef, and all dependencies. If it is met, only then it will follow the proper order there by installing any package in the client side. And I was talking about this thing, right? It is well suited with the cloud instances. So if it is like, the first choice for all the developers associated with all your cloud infrastructure automation. So that is the other reason Chef was really growing exponentially in the market. So basically 3 elements: server, workstation, node, which can help the to manage the physical, virtual, and cloud instances. So, but if you really just go and check inside these stuff, workstation, self server, these are the things it will be there. So in the workstation, you'll be having a knife. So what I was talking about right now, what is knife is used here to upload the cookbooks to the Chef server and as well as to download from the Chef server, or to download the cookbooks from the supermarket. So knife is used here in the workstation. Also, you have a local Chef repository is also there. And when you talk about Chef server, it is actually nothing but collection of lot of some open source tools. So you have like Nginx web server, you have your web UI, you have PostgreSQL, search index. I mean, you don't need to learn all these things, but when you install Chef server, it's all bundled together. Now on the client side, it will take very less resources because Node is not meant for all this purpose. No, Node is meant for to do some company business. So here you will be having only one Chef client installation will be done, agent installation, which will take very less memory on the disk, which also by default comes with a high tool, which actually helps the agent to share the node environment details as well as the status of the node. When it's a status, when last time the Chef client runs, what was the status? So that is what I'm talking about. Yeah, so now main functions of Chef server, I think by this time you understood, is it actually contains all those cookbooks and the metadata of the nodes. So when node comes to Chef server and when you do a negotiation, it will provide those cookbooks which is supposed to be supplied to the node, and all this data it will store in the PostgreSQL. Earlier in 2011 and 12, I guess, when version I don't recollect in Chef 10, I guess. So it was they were using Cassandra database, but later because of the scalability issue, they moved to PostgreSQL. So hosted Chef server, you don't need to worry. You go and buy from the company, they'll give you one API for learning purpose. That is the best option as well anyway. So maintenance, upgradation, everything is owned by the company. Some loyalty has to give, not you, but the company will pay. So, but otherwise, it is actually as equal to as you're having a server. Twitter is up to 5 nodes you can add. Also, it supports all the platforms: AWS, Rackspace, Azure, Google Cloud. So, cost of the ownership will actually come down when you go for hosted server. It's a PaaS service basically, and for POC purposes and all this stuff, this is the best option. Enterprise or private server, you set up your own license-based server in your company. Unlimited nodes can add here. Open source, free. Again, you're on-prem only, but no license is required because it is open source software with the limited features. No support, enterprise support, nothing will be provided to the company. These are some of the firewalls between workstation, server, and node has to be open because a lot of tools are there. For example, Nginx 80443, likewise. So for PostgreSQL 5432, etc. Now, client side, how much memory it actually takes? I told you it actually takes very less memory, 512 MB only, 200 MB disk space. So when the Chef client tried to download anything from the Chef server, everything is actually cached under Chef cache, the cookbooks and etc. So better, you give some 5 GB space to this particular folder here. And then HTTP is the protocol because certificate will be there. That is how it will be communicating based on the encryption decryption model. So make sure that that so and so port is opened. So this is all about the client side. But if I want to go for on-prem Chef server, so what is the mechanism and unit I have to choose to set up a Chef server? So they suggesting 64-bit, 4 GB RAM. Sorry, 8 GB RAM, but recommended. Yeah, for in case we go with HF Analytics also. Hosted Chef server is just internet connected. That's it. But if you are looking for tier deployment, this is the configuration. For high availability, this is the configuration. What actually Chef says, there is a mechanism they are asking us to use. We call it CCR, Chef client run per minute. So take an example that you have 500 servers in your company. So 500 nodes. So you configure the agent to run it every 30 minutes. So the CCR for this is 16.66. This is how it is to calculate the 500 by 30. So what company says, Chef server, you don't require to set up a high availability or a tier topology until the CCR reaches 333. That means a simple 8 GB RAM, 4 CPU core machine can handle up to 10,000 nodes. So these are some of the suggestions from the company. But in case if you want to go with some recommendations, so 33 CCR means approximately 1,000 nodes. They are saying that 2 CPU, 8 GB RAM of server is required. And this is the client side stuff. And if it is exceeding, and for example, this is the matrix design. So for 166 CCR, this is the configuration. For 333 CCR, this is the configuration, etc., etc. If it is exceeding this one, so go with the high availability and all this stuff. In Amazon language, it is M32X large. Beyond 20,000, you better involve in a specialist. People like me, you can invite. Yeah. Any questions?
Can you please explain about where the chef workstation would be residing?
So
Server is.
Go ahead.
Yeah, server, as I understood, suppose if our company has a server, so there the chef server would be there, and chef nodes are all the machines of the employees. and where this chef workstation would be residing, where knife and chef repository would be there.
So here I was talking about this thing. So workstation, even not every company will have a separate workstation. This is your local laptop. You can call it as or your local desktop. Or some companies, small companies, what they do, they will have a separate dedicated machine, a hardware machine, and let's say an EC2 and cloud machine or a virtual machine. So we can call them as a workstation. So basically, these are all different shapes or options available. But why do we use workstation? To test, develop the cookbooks. It's a playground. So workstation is like that. I mean, how to set up workstation? That is what actually the practical is all about. We'll talk about that. So it is not a dedicated mission. So that's the bottom line. Hope that helps, right? Yeah. Any more questions? Okay. So what we do, we will try to do this thing. First thing, let me put that in a picture. We'll spin up a EC2 machine. We will name this as workstation. And then we will take a hosted chef server by logging into the company official portal. And also we will try to set up 1 or 2 nodes for practice purpose. Now, what are the things which is required from the server or workstation point of view? This is my chef server. Now this is my nodes. So in chef server, I will try to create as soon as I register myself and all this stuff. So first thing is I have to create a organization. Logical grouping of all the nodes, organization. And from this organization, we will download one starter kit to the workstation. So what do you mean by that starter kit? Which contains details about the knife. I mean, knife also will be there. Also, local chef repo details. There are some certificates to communicate with the chef server securely. Yes, this is about all this starter kit. And then because you will be developing a lot of cookbooks here and then compiling all this thing, you also need one more thing called Chef DK development kit, like your JDK. So you'll be having the workstation. So we will be logging to Chef server, creating a account, organization, and then we'll download this starter kit here, and then we also will download from the Chef DK. From Chef DK, we will download from official website report. Just portal report. From there, then we'll download. So once it is done, now agent installation and the nodes has to be done. So I have some couple of brand new machines where I would like to install the agent. So what I'll do, I will remotely take some SSH permission so that now I can log into the server. So because Linux, you have to have remote SSH servers, right? So that I will take care. And then we'll install what will install there the Chef client. Remotely. So this process we call as bootstrapping. There is syntax available. I will let. So once it is bootstrapped, what it will do, it will install Chef client on this machine, and then it will register that with the organization. Same thing with the other nodes. First, to do SSH enable, you have to have SSH certificate create, and then share that with this stuff, etc. So that is the Linux part. It is not Chef part. But what if I want to do Windows? Yeah, that also will learn later. So this is what we will try to do now. Log into my AWS to order some machines. So we have installed Nagios, actually that machine. I think we have installed so many packages now. So I'll take a new machine.
Raghu, can we use the existing machines or should we spin up new ones?
You can use it.
Okay.
So we'll try to use the same machine. Otherwise, if any problem comes, we'll see. And name is as Workstation. The first thing is download the Chef DK. So I'm just searching for the download Chef DK for Linux. So I'm going to the official portal. I'm looking for some development kit. So what is my OS? Red Hat reliable, right? Amazon is log all based on CentOS. Okay. So here it is saying the download option. Okay, but the download is linked to the this so and so URL. What I'll try to do, I'll go to the, if I try to download, it will download into my local machine. So I'll go to my developer tools to get exactly what Lisa link it is. I think, yeah, this is the link, I guess. So where is my machine? This is the. So I'm inside my server. I'll go to my home directory, EC2. So there is a software folder is available. I'll try to download at the software folder. Wget that link. Let's connect it. Awaiting response. Okay. Let's download it. Let me give that link also. Now, how do you install any RPM? RPM hyphen UVH or IVH. Anything is fine. Yeah. So just check it out. Chef hyphen version. Yeah, it's working. The development kit is installed. If I go back to my picture, the first thing is this one, right? The development kit. This is that. Step development is that. So workstation we spin up, and inside that we install Chef DK. That's it. That's the only thing we did. This is my first step. This is my second step. Now what I'll do, I will go and take one Chef server from the official Chef site. So let me go to the official Chef site. So chef.io is the official web portal. Chef is now a part of Progress. So read the blog post. What is Progress? I don't know. Okay. Now on the top right hand side, can you see this login option? So go to this login option, click on Management Console. So you'll be redirected to this Management Chef Console page. So it is free. Please register yourself here. So just click here to get started. You'll get a Chef server, basically an API PaaS service. So I have already one account on my training account. Let me see if it is still working or not. Yeah. I'll wait for a couple of minutes so that everybody reaches here. So let me know. once you're done. Okay, next command. After downloading, just install this. That's it. RPM installation. And then go to the chef.io site and go to management console and create a server.
Raghu,
Raghu, registration is not happening. Email is not working.
Okay, I mean you registered, but you're not getting email or what?
No. The registration itself is not happening. There is an error in email part.
Okay,
We have tried to register with offline email. I think
company one, right?
company one.
Hmm.
So it is throwing a server error occurred. Please refresh and try again.
Oh, okay. Probably I think it is their end. I think chef server end. Okay, no problem. I mean, yeah, you can do that after some time. You can try after a couple of times. Yeah, you're saying something. Yeah.
Raghu, here create new organization option has come. So this is the screen we are supposed to, right?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that means your account is created. Yeah.
Yeah. And one question, Raghu, like AWS has its AWS Management Console, right? It's the same way like Chef also has its own.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
And AWS has like, client command line interface. So in that way, Chef may have or may not have that kind of facility, right?
No, it will not have. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that is the reason from Workstation only we are supposed to operate this.
Okay.
So I think he is able to create. Just check it out your end. I mean, just network connectivity or if you're on VPN.
I also am getting the same error.
Oh, is it? So are you both in Delhi? Yogesh is.
I am in Delhi.
Okay.
Tried with,
I think now it's blocked.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, you're saying something, Rakesh.
I tried with giving first name only first, and then it threw me some error. Then I gave full name. So then I was able to do this.
Okay. So we'll check like one of you. So Yogesh or anyone wants to share a screen? We'll see. I mean, we'll try to figure it out. If not, Divyangi. Yes.
Okay,
You're trying.
I'll share my screen. Can I share my screen, Raghu?
Yeah, let me give access. Yeah, now you can do a screen share. Even you're saying something, you're able to create it or what?
No, I think it's blocked.
Okay.
It's managed console, right?
Correct. Yeah.
See, the sign up page itself is not coming now.
I was trying to browse to your Jeff infra server, make user interact with it. Okay. Yeah, try incognito.
Yeah.
Only singly. Yeah. Try your personal one. I don't know. But Rakesh, have you tried your personal or like official one?
I used my work mail only.
Okay. Okay. So you can also try the same thing, Rakesh.
Personal office, Rakesh?
Official, Yogesh.
Okay. Yeah, I think in incognito it's worked.
Okay. It could be some Mozilla caching issue.
Okay, thank you.
You can try the same thing, Monica also. Yeah. Divyangi also in case.
Even I got the verification link.
Okay. Cool. So just log in there. So it might ask you create an organization. Yeah. So just create an organization that is unique one. What do you mean by unique means? Because this is a public server, right? I mean, so no two people can have the same organization.
So in my case, even the incognito is not working.
Oh, so for you're saying that no, in incognito search it's not working for you?
No.
You're trying. Okay.
No, I have tried the incognito
Okay.
in private mode, but that also.
I see. Okay. Just give some time and then no.
Yeah, I'll try. Otherwise, if we need to just upload a file or get a file from there and it's not heavy, then we get it there.
No, you need to download that kit only from your account only.
I'll try.
Hmm. Fine. So once you log into your this is API. When I say API means like it's not actually physical server in the background. So what Chef might have doing is in the background they are probably giving a PaaS services. Yeah. Okay. So once you log in here on the top right hand side, you'll be seeing all your credentials, my profile, everything. And then this is all about organizations. I mean, you will not be having so many organizations because I was taking a lot of training sessions. I just created training, one per one company. Yeah. Now on the top here, you'll be seeing four options. The first one is the node where we can see within this organization how many servers are registered. So here it is showing empty. The second one is report section. So the client, Chef client, right, will be running on all our machines. So I would like to know the status of that. So you can look at the run history or the environment wise or date wise, custom wise, last 3 months to know whether if any of the node is not in sync with the stuff or Chef client is not running. So that report will be shown here. And this is about the policy section, nothing but the cookbooks. So a lot of cookbooks here, that's fine. And then this is about the admin level, the organization stuff. So now what I will do, I will try to create a new organization here. I can also do that at the administration. Create. So I'll just short give up okay, something like training. Yeah. Short name I'm going to like training. FPIC here. Yeah. So you can't give the same name because you have now taken already this one. The organization is created. Where is this? ABC. So I've selected this and I could see that there are no nodes, no reports, no policies, empty. This thing. Now I'll go to this administration section. I'll select the organization. As soon as I select the organization, here I could see a drop down option wherein I can go to the starter kit. So just go to the starter kit option. So you'll be routed to this page where you can download the starter kit. Here you don't have a choice, you have to download manually. Because even if you mouse over also, nothing is working. I think it will probably creating dynamically. So it's saying that now your user key will be reset or issue you want to do this. What it means is that this is for the first time you're doing, but whenever in the future, if you try to download the starter kit, the old starter kit will be discarded. I mean, that key will not be will not work actually. So that's the reason we cannot download the starter kit every now and then and start using in our environment. It will throw error. So here I am right now. It's okay. First time I'm doing. So I downloaded this starter kit. Now this kit I have to upload to the my workstation. So how do you upload to any Linux server? You can use WinSCP. So if you don't have WinSCP, just please go here and say download WinSCP. Or you can use Bugzilla. I mean, I don't know. So many. What is that? FileZilla. Yeah, it's up to you. I use WinSCP. So it's already there in my box. So opening WinSCP. What it is for? To upload servers from local machine to the Linux machine, remote machines. 1 second. So I just need to supply my IP address. Public IP. It's taking too much time. And what's the username? Username was ec2-user. There is no password, right? Click on advanced authentication, PPK. I think 7th May key, I guess. Yeah. And local download section, we have this starter kit, right mouse upload. So it is uploaded to the server. So where did I upload it? I uploaded the home directory, no? That I have uploaded to the home directory. Oh, it went into home directory /m. Okay. copy /10 Ssh Keygen to here and unzip this file. Now this is my local repository, chef-repo. I'm inside this folder. So you have one folder called roles, you have one folder called readme and cookbooks. I'll just pass at this moment. Wait for others also to do the same thing.
Can you please share the comments?
Yeah, there's no commands here.
Okay,
Yeah, just
unzip.
unzip, right? Okay.
Unzip /
Just unzip or normal unzip, yeah.
Oh, just unzip.
Because just unzip.
How can we give the after the unzipping it, it will just put the files everywhere there itself, right?
Yeah, that's it. The file has to be the chef-starter file has to be there.
ठीक. Raghu, all this process will be there under chef documentation, right? If
Yes,
we
yes.
need to refer out.
Yeah, it will be there. Yeah. I also actually created one not kind of like handbook for us.
Okay.
Let me just check it out. Where is the not this one? Yeah. So like this, right? I just created this simple handbook. So you can also refer this one. I'll share that with you post the class.
Raghu, I
Yeah.
again left a little behind. So this, chef starter.zip is to be transferred to this EC2 machine, correct? In any
Yeah.
particular folder or anywhere? In EC2 user, I have put it.
Yeah. Anyway, you just put it in easy to use it
Yes, I
because
have put it. And after that, I have to unzip it.
unzip it. Yeah,
That's it.
that's it. Right. Unzip space the file name.
Sure.
And Raghu, in the meanwhile, do we need to keep this chef management console open for any reason?
Yeah, because once we do the bootstrapping, no, it will be reflecting here.
Okay.
Okay. So now inside this repository, we will try to explore what are the folders and files are there. So we could see that now there is a folder called roles and cookbooks. We'll talk about later. But are there any hidden files and folders? ls-la. Yeah. So there are some hidden folders and files. The one such folder is .chef. So go to that .chef. So when you go to the .chef folder, inside that, yeah. So we could see two files. One is my this login credentials, the PEM file, which it actually negotiates with our Chef server. And there is also one file called config.rb. This is certificate. This is just a recipe. So wherein you have some details about some variables and the log level. So by default, the log location is standard output. What it means is the logs at the client will not be stored anywhere. It only will display on the monitor. So in case if I want to store the logs at the client side, yeah, this I have to modify. I have to give the path. And this is my node name. And this is the client key, the definition. That we already have this file, right? So it is actually defined. Now, what is current directory? Current directory is this. This is another variable. Represents the local file. So now this is our chef server URL. So this is an API .chef.io organizations. This is the organization which we created. Like I created chef training or company name, right? AF, a short form. So this is my cookbook path. So inside that there is a folder called cookbook. That is where all my cookbooks will be stored. Okay. Up to here, I understood. So that these are all required to connect with the chef server. So I'm just coming. I'm not doing any changes here. Just exploring this file. So I also have a command to check whether the SSL is working or not. So all my commands here inside this folder only it will work. Knife space SSL space check. So it is connecting to the API and 443 port, and it says successfully verify the certificate from api.chef.io. So client key is with us, and the public key is with this organization or this server. So for everybody, this output key or not.
Has come, Raghu.
Okay.
Yeah, I got Raghu.
Right. So that means our connectivity is good. So let's go back to our picture. This is also done, and my workstation is all set. This fourth step is also done. This fourth. So done. Now, what is pending? Starter. I mean, we would like to register one node. So this will be my next step. So we will take one node, and probably we will use it as our node. So if I don't have any node, what I'll go to server. So I will try to deploy one machine. I have a lot of machines, so I have to take out some machines, otherwise. That's fine. You can deploy your other machine stick to micro. Just checking the results useful or not. I don't need. May deploy a machine, launch instance. We'll choose the same Amazon Linux only because later we'll see Windows machine, etc. So next, review and launch. I'm using the same key. Scroll down. We will name it as chef node. So this I would like to register here as client. So for that, what are the things which is required? We require to install chef client remotely on this machine and then register that with the organizations. So we will try to first of all establish we were discussing now that we have to establish a SSH relationship between this workstation and that node. So for that, what I have to do, I have to just log in here and then set up a SSH relationship. Because remotely I have to install this software now. So anyway, in real time, and this is already by default will be there. So I'm setting up at the root level. And Amazon that root level logging and all these things generally by default will not be given. So we have to just enable that. But by the way, first of all, let me go to my root home directory. So there will be one more hidden folder called .ssh. Go to .ssh where I am in workstation under root under .ssh. Check any keys are there or not. There are no keys, so we can generate one key. -TRSC I can use, or I can say simple SSS-Keygen. Enter, 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 enter. Some questions it will ask. This public key will be created here. The cat disk key and copy this key to the clients. So same location. Go to root .ssh. You have authorized keys. VI authorized keys. Already one key will be there. Do not delete this. Do not disturb this file. We just need to append it. So to append in VA editor, we can use O. So come to the new line, just paste it. Careful, don't leave any spaces and all this thing. Save this file. That's the only thing you have to do. And the other thing is, because I told you, it's a root level, right? So because it is like a root level, I just need to do this thing at the client side. Generally, we don't do at root level, but here in practice purpose, I'm doing it at the root level. So you have to go to this file, search for permit root login. Right now it is commented out, and comment that, and do a restart. That's it. Now check the connectivity. So take the IP. From here, I should be able to do SSH. The server without passwordless authentication. Yes, I'm able to log in. So just checking out, exit. I'll give you the steps. So at the workstation, what is that I've done? Workstation, this is what I have done. Okay. Now at the client side, what is that I have done? Of course, authorized key inside that file, what is it as, what I have done it, that is not mentioned here. These are only steps, right? This is steps, but give you this those details as well. Copied that
The
below.
RSA key we copied is, which is generated from SSH keygen, is it?
Correct.
Okay, what value should we enter there for SSH keygen?
I'll show you one second. But my meeting history. Yeah, so here, this is once the key is created, you just need to get this public key.
No, so while creating the key, it is asking enter file in which to save the key.
Just say enter, 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 enter. No need to give any.
Okay, cool.
In SSH, the file, what we need to enter, SSH config file.
Where is the client side?
Yes, in the client side.
Okay. So the client side, when you edit this existing file called sssd_conf, there is one option called capital P, permit root login s. It is actually commented, uncommented, and save and do a restart of SSHD.
Okay.
This is a Linux stuff. This is not related to Chef at all. It is SSH, just setting up a passwordless authentication between your workstation and the client. That's it. So why do we do that? So that from here I can remotely install Chef client on this machine. Once everything is configured, you just need to do SSH from workstation to node. How do you do that? SSH space node IP. Then you should be able to log into the machine without any passwords and etc. And once it is logged in, just say exit. That's it.
Raghu, the last two sets of commands we need to execute on the node machine, right? The node one, sorry, chef node.
Yeah, at the node side.
Yeah. Raghu, the SSH command, we need to hit the same IP address, whatever we see on the probably the terminal.
Correct. Yeah, just a private. You can give private IP. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything is fine, public or private.
It says like authenticity of host can't be established. So are you sure want to continue connecting?
Yeah, but the first time it will ask that. You can just say yes.
So since this is done, we'll be able to connect this from our primary instance, right?
So if you're able to connect that, yes. So you will be able to now do a remote bootstrap. So is all set from everyone? So from Workstation, now go back to Chef repo folder. Because we have to be inside this particular repository folder only where the knife command will actually work. And then from here, we need to now do a bootstrapping. That will be our last exercise for today. After that, we'll do a stop. So bootstrapping is a process of installing agent on the remote machine and registering that node. So here, if I do chef-client, it says command is not found. Why? Because the software was not installed. Also here under the organization, the node section also showing empty list. So node is also not registered with the server. So you can do this bootstrapping using knife utility. So I will pass this command to you. Type bootstrap IP address of the client. Probably I'll take my private IP. Space. Connection hyphen user is root, and to connection and to register to talk to the server and all this thing, this is my identity file. And once it is registered, please give this name called web server. So let me try this option. It's saying that before you continue, product license must be accepted. So do you accept the product license? Yes. So are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yes. Creating a new client, new mode, and remotely installing with OmniTruck. So bootstrapping is done. Now just go to the client and just verify. Yeah, private client. Starting the Chef client, doing a handshake, all good. Here also refresh the page. We should see one node is now listed. So we given a name called web server to as a display name. That's the reason it has come like this. Otherwise, this is the platform, FQDN, IP address, uptime. Few seconds ago, it was checked in environment default action. Yeah, you can delete it later. You can do run list, all this stuff. Some attributes, kernel, memory, everything is displaying here. And so I'll give you that command. So where is meeting chat? Instead of IP address, use this your client IP address. So is it done? Bootstrapping?
Yes.
Raghu, this nice command we need to enter on the main EC2 instance, right? So
Workstation, right?
workstation. So
And it should be under chef-repo folder. You have to be inside that.
While doing that, it is asking for some confirmations. So we have to give yes, right?
Yes, yeah.
Do we need to keep running that SSH on the node machine?
No, that is by default anyway. It will be running. So otherwise, it is to do SSH. Why do we need SSH? Only for remote installation of Chef client. Going
Okay.
forward, you don't require actually.
Okay, it says connection failed and failed to authenticate root.
So when you do knife bootstrap,
Yes, yes,
and you were able to do SSH perfectly, right?
yes, yes.
So is the syntax is fine.
I hope so. I copied from this Zoom.
What's on it? No? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monica able to do that. Then that means command is fine. Yeah.
All right, I'll check.
So is at the root client side, have you enabled the root that permission root login as?
I tried it once. It was working like SSH. I tried.
Ah,
That has gone now. Now I can't do SSH also. I think permission denied.
oh, is it? So just start the service. The service SSH start with the client side.
Started it. It still says permission denied.
Okay, let's just do quick check.
All right. So this is my workstation.
Okay.
And this is my node.
Okay. So at the node side, can you check that SSHD config? VA. No dot, just SSH. Yeah. SSHD underscore config. That's what permit. Not this one. There is permit root login option. Separate option is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. Uncomment this and restart the service. Now try to do SSH.
This works, right? Restart here.
I think there could be some key issue. We'll try to do one more check.
Shall I try this SSH here itself? It should work, right? On the node itself. Okay.
That will be. So now go to the root folder and go to .ssh folder and edit for me edit that authorized keys file. .ssh folder. .ssh. Okay, this is the key copied, right?
Yep. This is the one copied from that SSH keygen.
Okay. So there is no space issue, nothing then.
I entered it here after, like till here it was there. I entered it in the next line. This is entire SSH.
Appended, yeah.
Yeah.
There is a port open this side. SSH2 port, I think by default it would have been open.
Yeah.
It was SSH only, no?
Yep.
But can you ping this IP from there?
Sure. From my workstation.
Yeah, from Workstation.
Ping is not enabled.
Okay, do telnet. Telnet space this IP 22.
IP.
22 space 22. Yeah, you can give anything. Yeah.
Okay.
Telnet is not that. Yum install telnet. Telnet. SSH connected. Yeah. And come out.
Shift PQ.
So then, port is not an issue. It could be either key or service issue only. So what you do, try to delete that key again and then regenerate and try to add it. Probably you might have missed one space here and there.
Okay, I'll try it. You can continue. I think we have less time.
Okay. Can stop the description.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we only have a few minutes left. So otherwise, just to recap what we have done, we again, this fifth step is done, and then now it actually registered the node at the organization which we created. So now the framework is configured. First thing is we took a workstation and EC2 machine itself we have taken, but I told you in real time it could be a local laptop or desktop, anything. Only thing what we need is we need the starter kit. So wherever the starter kit is there, that we can treat as workstation. As simple as that. So the starter kit, where do we get this? Whenever you create the organization at the server side, you will get the starter kit. So what it contains? It contains knife utility, the local chef repo folder details. It contains the certificates. Also, Chef DK, you need to download it from any popular, the official website based on the operating system. Because we are using Amazon Linux, which is CentOS based again, Red Hat flavor I have taken, and I install through RPM. So once it is done, your workstation is ready, and the server anyway it is ready. Take a node, do SSH relationship establishment. It's not mandatory that you have to use passwordless only. You can also go for password based also. Only thing is while bootstrapping, it will ask you what's the password. That's it. So just for smooth bootstrapping, I use passwordless. So then what it will do, it will install Chef client on this machine and register our node here. So that's the exercise we have done. So here you're able to see the node successfully, right? And then also when I go to the client, if I do chef-client, I'm right now running manually, but we can set up automatically run this stuff. So what it will do handshake with the chef server. It will ask me, hey, do you have any cookbook for me? Server says, sorry, I don't have any cookbooks for you. So this is run list showing, right? So all this thing we'll discuss in the coming sessions. Also, we'll try to start writing some extremely simple recipes to the cookbooks, etc., etc. in the coming sessions. So that's all from my end today. Any questions from anyone? I also will share you this notes, the handbook. So like what we have done, what we have to do. Just in the URL subject to correction, probably it could be some little old URLs. Fine, I'll try to update these URLs and then we'll share that with you. So whatever we did this week, I try to do those things in the weekend. And in case if there are any questions and all these things, this Monday we will try to regroup and rediscuss before we proceed on this shift part. That's all from my end. Any other questions? Okay then, yeah. Thank you all. Thanks for attending. So happy weekend. Then we'll catch up next Monday. Then.
Yeah.
Thank you, Raghu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raghu.